Hi, and welcome to Midnight Monday Motivation. I'm your hostess and your SOAR strategist, Tiffany R. Easley, and I teach you how to soar beyond the trauma of a diagnosis. I am super excited about this particular Midnight Monday motivation because it hits home for me. It's a reminder for me as well as me encouraging you or providing you with motivation on this Monday. So let's get started. But before I hop into my key thoughts for today, I want to start with a definition and then two questions. So I want to define what it means to be called. A call is a command or a request to come or a summons. So if you're being called, that means you have been given a command or a request to come to something, to someone, or to some position, or you've been summoned to a thing. So let me start by asking you these two thought provoking questions. Question number one: what or who is calling you? Question number two: are you letting purpose, power, or a position call you? Now I'm going to dive into four key points that I think are very important. And then I want you to tie those points into those two questions that I asked you previously as you go back and you think about what we discussed today. So, when purpose calls, you see differently. You see beyond what is seen, you begin to see by faith. I know for me, when I was called to become a source strategist, I began to see things differently because no matter the diagnosis, I had to learn to see beyond it. I had to learn to see that cancer was not a death sentence. I had to learn to see that hydrocephalus was not a death sentence. It was actually a life sentence. So, when purpose calls, you must see differently. Next, when purpose calls, you learn to take ownership of your attitudes, your actions, your beliefs, and you begin to check your own self. You don't need anyone else to check your attitude or your beliefs or your actions because you check yourself because you're owning those actions, attitudes, and beliefs. So when purpose calls you, you learn to take ownership of how you think, even of how you speak. Number three, when purpose calls, you create a plan to attain that which you've been called to do. So let's tie those past 3 points together. You've been called to do a thing, and you began to see that thing differently because you see by faith and you see beyond what is seen. And then you take ownership of how you think about that thing, what you believe about that thing, and how you act toward that thing. So you begin to devise or create a plan to attain it. For me, it was really understanding that being a source strategist wasn't something I had the power to do. It was God working through me help others soar beyond the trauma of a diagnosis. So I ask you, what is it that you've been called to? Are you creating plans and a strategy, steps to reach and attain that thing that you've been called to do? And finally, when purpose calls, you share your brilliance with the world. I love the word brilliance, but it's simply this. When purpose calls, you learn to share your gifts, your skills, your abilities with the world so that you can help other people. Source Being a source strategist is something that's near and dear to me because I had to learn to soar beyond the trauma of my own diagnosis. Now, what good would it do the world or those around me for me to learn how to soar beyond that diagnosis if I'm not helping other people? So that's when I really grabbed purpose and began to run in it at all costs. So here is the deal for you today. I want you to answer your call to soar. I want you to recognize and understand what or who is calling you. And I want you to let purpose be the driver of your calling. Because when purpose drives you, the power and the position will show up. I hope this has been a great Monday motivation for you. I hope that you will continue to follow me on social media at Tiffany R. Easily, and then link up with me on my website at tiffanyreasily.com. I've been out of the game for a while, so to speak, because I've been attending to some family matters, but I'm back and I'm pursuing this thing with all that is within me. And I hope that you'll come along the journey. I hope that you'll grab the book. I hope that you will eventually join the SOAR tribe. We have some good things coming up in Q2 because I'm allowing you to really tap into what it is you're supposed to do in 2020 so that you'll be ready in Q2 when we release all that we're doing. I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time, it's time for you to recognize you've been called to soar.